My name is Travis Gallington, and I am the creator of The Land of Opportunity, which is the game I'm going to be showing you today. I'm also the creator of Bows, Spears, and Cavalry, and that video is also on my channel if you wish to view it. The origins of this game go back to my junior year in high school, where I was in a creative-based class, which it was a new way of learning that they were trying out in my school. It was a combination of English and history kind of mashed together in a 2-hour-long class. And it was about the end of the year when we were doing a system of projects on immigration, and this particular one, they were going to do, put all that information you just learned about immigration and put it into any medium you want. So a couple people did some short books, some people did like just really basic essays, and one kid did a rap that was actually really, really good. So I thought, last year I made a board game for geometry class, and that was really fun. Maybe I can try doing that again. I really enjoyed it the first time. So that's where this game came out of, is I wanted to create a game about immigration and the struggles that people go through as they go from their home country to New York, New York at the time was a major hub for immigrants. So that's what this game is about. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the rules, which are down here. Now these rules aren't very flashy or very interesting, but they're definitely very descriptive and they're very easy to read. This includes the materials, how to start the game, winning the game, and what you do after you win the game to decide who is second, third, or fourth players. I'm going to read the little beginning part. It is The Land of Opportunity, produced by Gallner Games, an extension of Gallington Games. Now, my friend Ethan Garner helped me make this game. He made a little bit of it, and so I decided to include him in the production, like it's an actual game production company. So I took his last name, Garner, and my last name, Gallington, and amalgamated them into Gallner Games. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I wrote a little blurb about the game, because I feel like all good games have a blurb. So I don't know why there's one for this one. The Land of Opportunity is a board game focusing on immigration during a period of great famine in the Eastern world. The game follows 4 different immigrants from 4 different countries as they navigate the difficult processes of not only getting into New York, but also surviving the boat trip. Navigate your ocean's voyage into Ellis Island and then to New York City, where you must rise in reputation to become the new mayor. Gain reputation by doing good deeds, learning the American way, and bring relatives over from across the sea to boost your score. Rat out your friends and make alliances in the Land of Opportunity. And that is the instruction booklet. It doesn't have a very fancy font, it doesn't have a good background like the previous game, but it's very easy to understand and you can definitely play the game with it. The next piece I will be showing you is the game board, which is obviously the most important bit. Now, you may recognize this game board because it's a trifold board that I picked up at my local HEB it was pretty cheap, about $7, I think, and it serves its purpose very well. So obviously, you start the game in the start area, and then you move all the way up to the ending area where you can win the game. I'll go over more of the game board later, but right now I'll discuss what these areas are. So I intended if you're playing the Hungarian character, you would sit on the Hungarian side. If you were playing the German player, you would sit on the German side, and you would keep your relative tokens here. Relative tokens are pretty important, and I'll get to them later. So I'm going to put this over here, and I'll get to the next bit, which is the character cards. Characters are pretty important in this game. There are 4 of them. There is Hajni Halmi, which is Hungarian, and here's her flag, and I'll read her little special ability. She has political influence, which means she can cancel the effect of 1 card once per game. Next we have Gerard Gunther, who is German. His special ability is that he's a smooth talker, which means he requires 1 less reputation to pass Ellis Island and the mayor's office. I'll get to all those things later, it'll make sense. Now, next we have Paul Panek, who is Polish. His special attribute is that he is a kindly nature, and he has +3 starting reputation. And finally, we have Ida Ivers, the Irish woman. Here's her flag, and her special attribute is that she has a large family, which means she gets +2 relative tokens at the start of the game. Next, I will show you the cards. These cards are the most important part of the game because if you land on a card space, you will draw a card, and depending on if you're in the ocean area or the city area, you'll either draw the ocean cards or the city cards, C for city, O for ocean, and they're blue and green. They all have different effects. Also, obviously, the ocean cards are going to have effects that apply if you're an immigrant on the ocean, So there's a stowaway on the boat, you have overcrowding on the boat, you have rescue a man overboard. They all have to do with going in the ocean, and as you can tell, there's a lot of them, and they're all completely unique and original. And they all either affect your amount of spaces, your reputation, or your amount of relatives. So we have the city cards as well, which are completely different and have to do with an immigrant in the city. So you buy a boat ticket, you might have forged documents, you might have a peaceful protest, which gets you a lot of reputation. You have another peaceful protest, and you have donate to a homeless man, which is quite a good card. So these are all very, all different, and I handwrote them myself. And Ethan, was another contribution of his, is he helped write some of these and helped come up with some of the themes for them. So that is the cards for the game. Next, I will show you Ethan's main contribution of the game, which was these little character tokens. Now, they each correspond to a different country, and I think that he did an excellent job on these. I think they're very reminiscent of the Candyland pieces, as well as the colors like green, blue, yellow, and red, which I believe are the original Candyland colors. And on the bottom, they have an I, a P, and an H, and a G for their countries, and I think they came out very well. They haven't even shown signs of wear or tear, and they're very good, so I think very good job, Ethan. Great job. Next, we have your reputation tracker right here. Now, when you start the game, you would take these little push pins that I've colored, and you would put them in your starting area, which is 10, except if you're Powell, because Powell gets an additional +3 for his starting reputation. He would start on 13. Now, as you progress through the game, landing on spaces and drawing cards, you would move it up farther. But as you can tell, there's also a 0. You start at 10, but there's also a 0. So if you get very, very unlucky, you can get down to even 0. And you can tell where the push pin markers are, that no one's actually ever gotten down there. But someone got down to 4, which is pretty bad, and that was a pretty bad recovery. So that's where you place your reputation, how you track your reputation, and I'll get to why that's important later. It comes with a standard die, 1 through 6. It's very simple. And that is all. Oh, I forgot the relative tokens. Relative tokens are another attribute of the game that come in at the end of the game. So they're just little white squares with R's on them, and you flip them over and they have values on them. These are both +2s, but there's +1 through +5. +5s and +1s are pretty rare. 3s, 2s, and 4s are pretty common. So that is the game. Now, how to play the game. So, like any standard board game, you start in the starting area, down in the bottom right, and you roll the die to work your way through the ocean area. If you land on a sea space, you draw a card. If you land on one of these spaces, +1 reputation, +1 reputation, +1 relative, you do what they say. Now, this is where the reputation comes in play. Ellis Island is the first special area in the game. There's 2. There's Ellis Island and the mayor's office. Ellis Island, if you know your history, was a major hub for immigration, and everybody who wanted to get into New York, who was from another country, had to go through Ellis Island. Now, when you get to Ellis Island, if you land on this space, you have to have 15+ reputation, and then you can pass on to the city area. If you don't have 15 reputation, you just keep going around at Ellis Island until you manage to get reputation. There's 3 areas that will increase your reputation and 2 spaces that will decrease it, so there's a higher chance that you're going to be able to gain reputation and make your way out of Ellis Island. You can also see there's card spaces where you would set the cards during play. So that way, the city cards are in the city and the ocean cards are in the ocean. Now, the final area of the game is the mayor's office. When you get to the mayor's office, if you have 25 reputation and you land on this large rectangle, which is the mayor of New York space, you win the game if you have 25 reputation. If you have less than that, it's like Ellis Island. You go around in a circle trying to gain reputation so you can win the game. Now, while Ellis Island has more positive reputation spots than it does negative, mayor's office has equal. There's 2 negatives and 2 positives. So that's a great spot for characters who are kind of far behind to catch up and give them a chance of winning. That is how you play the Land of Opportunity, and that is everything on the board. Now the mayor's office is how you win the game. but second and third and fourth place, if you're playing with 4 or 3 players, it's a 2 to 4 player game, is determined by relative tokens. Now, at the end of the game, you take your relative tokens and you flip them over to see what values are there. So we have a +3 here, we have a +4, and we have another +3. So you would flip these over and be like, okay, so I have 3, and then I have 7, and then I have 10. And then you would add that to your reputation value. So let's say I didn't win and I got second place, and I'm at 21 reputation. Well, then I would flip this over and be like, okay, I got +10. So now I have 31 reputation. But let's say the Hungarian player got 32 reputation. He would get second place, and I would get third place. So at the end of the game, if you're second or third, entirely depends on your relative tokens. So that's where they come into play. That is the Land of Opportunity. That's everything to go over. I have another game that I made that I have a video for on this channel called Bows, Spears, and Cavalry. So if you want to watch that, that's also on my channel. I'm currently making a game called Spicers, which should be done in about a week or 2, so expect a video on that. And I have a couple other videos in the works, a couple other ideas in the works for games, so watch out for those, and thanks for watching.